All right, so here is our continuation then. So we stopped on this slide right here, was it? Let me see. Yes, so we did the guest count. All right, so we are going to go over to the next slide. And so this is where we begin today. We are going to go over the recent check history, avoiding a tender on a closed check, assigning a name to a check, if you need to change the menu for a check, change the date or time, or change the ownership, viewing and hiding checks, removing items, clearing an entire order, or canceling an order. And we'll go over void item, void waste, and void check. And we'll use those void reasons that we just briefly went over yesterday. And then we'll do transferring a check and the two different ways that you can do that. And then we will go over cash out and fast cash. So once again, we'll be sort of hopping around back office and soft touch. Let me take you in here now. All right, so we will go back to general, system, and general. And I am just going to go over to my history check count. So you have the manager history check count and the employee history check count. The default is 8 for the manager and 4 for the employee. I had 6 for my employee, but I kept my manager at 8. So that means that you will be able to see whatever number that is, all of the previous checks. So I can see my 8 most recent checks that are in my history. If I go into soft touch, I just restarted my days, so let me get a few checks in here. All right, so now I should have 2 checks in there. So if I click my check history, which I have mine at the top left, I can see those 2 previous checks that I've had, and I can see all of their information. From here, you can reopen a check if you need to edit an order, or if you want to reprint the receipt or credit any tips. As you can see here, reopen check, reprint receipt, or credit tips. Very handy if you accidentally threw the customer's receipt away when they told you that they did want it. So that's useful for that. Now, if you want to see your entire check history for today and not the last 6 or 8, then you can go into the employee mode and go into my checks, open tips, and transfers, and all my checks. And it will show you your last 500 checks, but it won't show you any checks that have been canceled. All right, so now let's say you wanted to void a tender on a closed check. So maybe you had someone that paid with one type of card and they had actually meant to give you the other card. You can do that. So let's go to dining. Just have one person sit down. Out of cheese pizza. All right, just have this person sit down and we'll cash them out with a Visa. Now, when you do a credit card, before you can actually totally close it out, you need to put a tip on there. So I'm just going to go over to my open tips and put in a tip. All right, so if you go to all my checks, you can see here that check number 103 in dining has been paid for and the tip is all taken care of. So I am, in my mind, I'm finished and the customer is going to go. But then they actually grab me and they say, I'm so sorry. I know that you already took my card and I wrote the tip, but I just realized I paid you with the wrong card. And they ask you if they can pay with a different card, and they can. What you need to do is go over to your history, select that check, and then you can click reopen check. It gives you the option to reopen the check, which would be maybe you want to add more items, or you can reopen and adjust payments, which in this case is what you want to do because you want to change that tender. All right, now if you want to void the tender, you'll just click on it. So Visa 707, I click void tender. It confirms you're voiding it. Click yes, and now it's gone. She gives me her MasterCard, puts it in, and there you go. I just put that tender in as though it was the first time. Now the tip has been removed, so I will need to go back in here and reapply that tip. But now if you look at all my checks, this is all taken care of, good as new. you have any questions on voiding a tender on a closed check?
No, that seemed pretty easy.
Okay. All right. Now this one is easy as well. This is just assigning a name to a check. Oh. All right. So let's go ahead, and we have a customer that's sitting at the table, and our restaurant wants us to have a name assigned to everyone's table. By default, I don't have it ask for a name for my dining section, but I can click the assign name button. So that's at the button here. I'm sorry, at the bottom here. Click assign name, and then this could be Mary again. You hit enter. You can see that Mary is now at the top of the check. And once we send it through, you can see that the table also says Mary. So that's the quick way. If you want to assign a name to a check, you can do that. All right, so now I will go over changing the menu. So let's say you are an establishment that has a breakfast menu and a lunch menu. Now it's after breakfast time, so only your lunch menu is active, but you have someone that's a regular and they really want some breakfast. But it's not the schedule for breakfast right now, so you do not have it where you can place an order for it on the POS system. But there is something else you can do. You can click the change menu button and it will change it to a different menu. So let's do my Lindsay Pizza menu. And then you can start placing orders from this menu. Now the only thing is, once you have changed the menu, you won't be able to go back to the previous menu. So maybe if you have a table where one person wants to order from one of the menus and the other person wants to order from the other one, you can do 2 separate checks for them. So I can send this through. And you can see it's still on that Lindsay Pizza menu and not on that. And if I try to change the menu, it will tell me that I can't because I already have items on the check. Is that pretty clear?
Yes.
Something it's good for is if maybe you go up to a restaurant and you go up to the bar and you want to order takeout food, and maybe the price of the items at the bar is different than the price of items in the dining. So they can switch over to that dining menu for you, and you can take your food to go at that dining price.
Okay.
Something else you can change is the check date and time. So this is good if you're using the real-time pricing. So let's say you're at a bar and you have a regular comes in, it's after happy hour, but you know what? You just want to give them the happy hour pricing. So you can go over the drink in there, and you would click check. You would select check date and time. Let's say happy hour is from 1 to 2. I can just change this to 1:07 and enter it in. If you go to the check information here, it will tell you the time that the check was started was 1:07, which for me is not correct. It's 3:07. But the system will now act accordingly to that real-time pricing.
Okay.
So that's something else you can do. All right, now let's do a change ownership. So let me put Susie Server in for the day. Right, now I have both of us here. Great. So the first way you can do this is let's just go to a table. Get this item. All right, so I start this table as the manager, and then I have something comes up and I need to leave. Let me just fire this item. So I tell Susie Server that I'm going to need her to take over my table. One of the ways that I can change the check ownership is to just go back into the check and click change ownership. It will give me a listing of all of the employees that are working as servers right now. I click Susie Server. It tells me I need to hit send. And now that check has been transferred to Susie Server. Because again, I don't have it checked that she needs to accept it before it's transferred. It's automatically transferred over to her. So then all Susie needs to do is go in. If I have already told her that it's going to be table 203, then she'll just know to click 203. And she'll be able to start adding to that order, and it will be her check. Now, if I check employee acceptance for check transfers, and just restart Softtouch right here. Go back in. Now let me try that again. Let me have a table. Change ownership to Suzy Server. So this time I said that I wanted to change ownership to Suzy Server and I hit send, but you can see that it's red. It's still mine. But I can still tell Suzy Server, I'm transferring 211 to you, and it shows me right on the top when I go in that I have one table or one check that's pending transfer. In this case, I know it's 211. I click it. It asks me if I would like to assign it to myself. So I can say yes, I can refuse and say no, or I can select yes and open, and then I can add items to the check. Any questions on changing the check ownership?
No.
All right. So now let's go over removing items, or actually let's do view and hiding a check since we're here. So we have the view and hide check button. If you just click that button and then click a table, it will show you the check for the table. You can move it around if you'd like to. And then when you're finished, you just click close window. All right, so let me move to the counter for this next thing. We'll remove items, we'll clear an order, and we'll cancel an order. So let's say someone is going to get 4 slices of pizza. Let's do 4 slices of white pizza. And then they say, you know what, I actually only want 3, I don't want 4. So I can select this 4th one here, select remove, and now I only have 3 slices of pizza. And then they tell me that they don't want cheese slices, they want to do veggie slices. So I can click clear order, which will keep the same check, but it will just remove everything that's on the check. Great, so now let me give them the slices that they want. 4 slices of veggie. All right, and now they tell me, you know, we're not ready to order right now. We're just going to sit down and we'll come back up. So in this case, I want to cancel the order. I click cancel order. It confirms with me. I say yes, and now it's a new check. It's check number 110. You can also remove items even if you use the quick quantity button. So maybe I select 4 and do white. I can still select it, select remove, and then I can just say how many I want to remove. I want to remove 1. So now they have 3 slices of that pizza. Any questions?
Nope.
All right, so let's cancel the order and go back to dining. All right, so let's do voiding items, do void waste, and then voiding an order. So let's go ahead, do another table. Right, and let's do a lemon tea and a green tea. All right, so I have customers. They get 2 slices of cheese. One of them gets a lemon tea, and one of them gets a green tea. I come to check on them, and my guest tells me that she did not like her lemon tea. So I am going to void that. Select it here. I select a lemon tea. I select item void, and these are my void reasons that I have set up in back office already. Since it's that she didn't like it, I will select didn't like food. So now that is off the check. Now what happens with this is that's actually going to appear in the security log. So it will show who it was that voided the order. If you need to have a manager's approval, it will say who approved it. And it will have the void reason as well, which really comes in handy if you're trying to figure out why things have been voided. Now, if a guest received their food and didn't like it or returned it, so maybe one of them, their slice of cheese pizza, they just could not eat it because there was something wrong with it, I could do a void waste because I'm not doing anything with this pizza after I've given it to them. So I select the slice, item waste, same thing. I could just do didn't like food. And now that one will be gone as well. You would probably only do the void order if you have an order that was sent to the kitchen by mistake. Now let me show you in the security logs because I think it would have updated by now. yes, or what? Let's see. Aha, here we go. All right, you can see my item void here. Void, didn't like the food, and it was Susie server. And then I have a void waste, didn't like the food, also Susie server. It shows you the date and time, it shows you the check number and everything. The employee override is where it would show what manager approved it. Do you have any questions on the voiding?
Nope.
All right, so let me show you the other way to transfer checks. I'm in a Susie right now. So I need to transfer 205 to the manager. I can go over to the employee section, my checks, open tips and transfers, and my open checks and sales. I can choose to move all of my orders and sales over to the manager, or I can just move one. So I will move order and sales with that 205 selected and select the manager. It says check transfer requested. If I did not have it so that employees needed to approve it, it would just tell me that the checks have been transferred.
Right.
So if I go back, I can see the table is red, so it's still mine. I go in as the manager. It tells me I have a pending check that is awaiting transfer. I don't know what that is because no one has told me. So if I go into the employee mode, my checks, open tips and transfers, checks awaiting transfer, I can see all of the checks that are awaiting transfer. And then I can select it and accept the check. And now that is mine. Any questions on that?
No.
All right, sounds good. All right, so let's just do a quick one on.
I do have a real quick question.
Oh, yeah.
So as a manager, if I was to look at the screen, everything that was mine would be red. And everything that belonged to all the other servers would be yellow, or does each server get a different color?
They would all be yellow. You have the table indicators that you always have on the top left. So you have red as your table, you have your soon available, occupied. But if for whatever reason you need to see what table belongs to which person, you can click switch view and then display employees. And then it will show you the employee's name on the table.
Okay.
And then you can always get rid of it.
Right. Okay.
So if someone's in trouble, that's a good way to find out who it is. All right.
Got it.
Really quickly, let's go to the bar. And then this is kind of silly, but I'll just go over cash out versus fast cash. Very easy stuff. Right. Go into quick bar. So in the bar, of course, you can still do your regular cashing out. Or you can do your fast cash. So say this vodka turns out to be $6 even, no tax at all. I would do fast cash, and that's it. I just take the $6, put it in my drawer, and I'm done. Yeah. So quick bar would be good for a nightclub or maybe a busy sort of bar, and the bar layout, of course, would be more for a, maybe a sports bar and grill or a restaurant that has a bar. Something that I mentioned, I think yesterday when I did the pizza menu, is you can have links to other menus, which is really nice.
Correct.
So on my menu, I have a link that goes to my main menu, which is really nice. So you can access that even when you're in the bar.
Okay.
For age verification for alcohol, you can use hardware or you can enter it in manually. Let me see what I can. So here you can click age verification. So you could scan it or you can just look at their license and then just put in their birthday. And you would set this up under general, system in general for the alcohol age consumption. It's probably going to be 21 in the United States everywhere. And then under hardware and stations, I believe, yes, so this checkbox here, checkbox here to enable age verification on checks with alcohol. And those are the two things that you need to do for the age verification.
Okay.
Great. So that is actually the remainder of everything for day 3. So we can start on day 4.
Okay.
So let me take you over day 4. So yeah, since you're sort of familiar, we're flying through this, which is good. All right, so this is going to be, we might be able to get over the whole day, I'm not sure. All right, so this day is going to focus on, we'll do gift cards, we'll do paid ins and paid outs, closeout procedures, delivery, takeout, counter, and loyalty.
Okay.
So first, I will set up the paid in and paid out. We'll go back to back office. And that is going to be under the miscellaneous, dollar paid, quick message, and shipped. And it is under cash paid. This is similar to when you set up your other reasons, such as your void reasons or your adjustment reasons. You will choose a type. You click add. You will choose paid in or paid out, and then put the description. Because SoftTouch will ask you every time you do a paid in or paid out what it is.
Okay.
So an example of a paid out, we have a food run. So maybe you've run out of a certain type of food and you need to send someone out because it's essential. And then a paid in would be food run return. So when that employee comes back and they put the change that they had from their purchase back into the till.
Okay.
And then we have over and under reasons, which is kind of similar. It pops up, but this would be for your closeout if you're over or under for any reason. So I just have two: found money on the floor and money missing. But just any reason that's common, you could put in there. All right.
Okay.
Now, before we go into these, and we'll get back to those as well. But let's go over the gift cards first, because a gift card is actually considered to be a paid in.
Right.
All right. So let's do it going through the manager mode. You can go over to manager, account, and then this is where you would access gift card accounts, house accounts, all that good stuff. In this case, you have a customer that wants to purchase a gift card, so you would click new card account, and just whatever sort of card it is, I'll do my local. You would swipe the card. I'll just put in a number. Okay. Now you will either manually put in the amount, or you have these quick buttons. So a common one could be $20, and wouldn't you know it, they want one for $20. You select it. You can also add additional cards, as many as you'd like. So let's add another card. Let's make this one 7575, and this one's also for $20. Confirm that everything's correct. You finish. Whatever they're paying with, so let's say it's a Visa, and it confirms with you one more time. You're purchasing 2 cards for a total of $40. Correct. Select confirm, and now the payment has been processed. Now it takes you to the account information for the final card that you put on, which was number 7575. You can see here the account is active, the number it is, the sort of account it is. So mine is a gift card local. It tells you exactly when it was issued and the card number. On the right, you have your account summary. It has the credit limit, credit remaining, and credit used. Under account transactions, it tells you every time this card has been used and all that information. Let me give you an example. So let's just go, and what do we want to do? Let's just get some fountain sodas and cash this out to Cherry. All right, so you would go over to, in this case, mine is gift card local because that's what I chose it to be. Enter. You would swipe the card or put in the card number. And now I'm done. So now when I go back to the accounts page, it shows right here that 1266 of the card was used for check number 117 on a guest check, and it is now closed. So now my credit used is 1266, and my credit remaining is 734. Pretty clear on the gift cards? Is it all pretty straightforward?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
All right. So another way that you can do gift cards is you don't have to be at the counter, but I'll just do the counter mode. You're at the counter, and you are ready to cash out. And you would like to also purchase a gift card. You can go over to accounts and do the whole process from there. So you can either do it from the manager mode under accounts, or you can go to accounts when you're on the cash out.
Okay.
You'll just have to pay for the gift card first because, again, it's a different sort of transaction than just cashing someone out. It's considered to be a paid in. All right, so now let's go to paid in and paid out, which will be in the manager mode under banks. Where am I? So it's under the bank management. All right, so let me see. I do not have a lot of money in this till right now, so let me just do some cash transactions. Get some pricey things in here. All right, let's go back. Manager mode, bank management, bank management. All right, you can see here that I currently have $73.85 in my till that is active right now. We are really low on burger buns, so I send someone out to go across the street to the store and grab some. And that will be a paid out. The reason is a food run, and those are my reasons from the back office, and I am going to give them $50. I enter it in, it confirms with me it's a paid out for $50 from till number 1 for a food run. Yes. And you can see instantly it applies that change. I now have $23.85 in my till. My employee comes back with their change, so it will be a paid in, a food run return. That'll be cash. And let's say they come back with $25. Enter it in, it confirms with me, yes. And then instantly that amount changes again. So that would be how you would do a paid in and paid out.
Okay.
Let's go back through. All right, so now we will go over the manager mode. So we went over the employee mode yesterday. Now, employees besides the manager can have access to the manager mode if you would like it. You would have to set it up in their security settings for their job. Right, so you have general functions, reports, all checks overview, your journal, bank management, charge tip verification, customers and loyalty and accounts, alerts, web and internet, tip pool, the time editor, employee management, stock maintenance, and business closeout. So general functions, there are a few neat things you can do in here. You can reprint the last check. You can change the change employee button means that you would actually go in and impersonate an employee for a function. You have system information, which will just show you the system information. Here's where you can launch back office from SoftTouch. A system reset if you need to. Here's where you can access the manager videos versus the regular employee training videos. And then if you want to exit SoftTouch, you could just click Exit SoftTouch. We go back. We have reports. There are a lot of reports that you can print directly here from the manager mode, or you could just view them. So I could just click sales by the hour. So then you could view a report here. If you wanted to, you could print it out as well. All checks overview. Compared to the employee mode, this has all of the employees in here, not just mine. All of the checks in general, included voided checks, all open checks, closed checks. If I have any future checks, any offline checks. So if I was processing a payment and then I lost internet connection, it would be here. And then open tip. So any transaction that needs a tip that doesn't. So this bar transaction I have that was a credit card needs to have a tip before it's technically closed. We have the daily transaction journal. So this keeps track of everything. It has an entry for everything. So you can see the paid out and paid in that we did. So I have my paid out in cash and my paid in cash. It tells you who it was that did it. It has its own unique ID. So here you see the first, the current 50, but you can also see the first 50 and the previous 50. You could also use different filters to find what you're looking for in the log. And there's something similar in back office as well. You have the bank management, which we did for the paid ins and paid outs, and we'll go over that when we go over the closeout procedures too. You have the charge tip verification if there are any tips that you need to approve for an employee. You have accounts, which we just went over for gift cards accounts, house accounts, and so on. Alerts here, if you are using employee alerts, you could just go in, I could just say manager, and it would list all of the employees here that you can send alerts to, and you'd be able to check from those listings. We have an internet browser. Mine doesn't work because I just have a problem with my internet on my machine. but you would be able to just go anywhere on the internet that you'd like on here. This is for the tip pools that we went over yesterday, and this is where I could close it out as the manager. Then we have the time editor here. You can change any employee's time clocks. Maybe someone forgot to break out or break in, for example, and you'd be able to change it here. Oh, you know what? Sorry, that would be for employee management. Time editor. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, so the employee management, I see. I was mixing myself up. So yes, I was correct on the time editor there. The employee management is good. For example, you could just clock out all the employees now. We'll go over the Z when you do your Z at the end of the day. You can also clock out all your employees when you do that. But say for whatever reason you need to clock out all your employees right now, you could select your employees and click clock out employees. And if you go to employee shifts, it will tell you the shift number that everyone's working on, when it started, and what shift it is. Is it all day? Is it AM or is it PM? And then you have the stock maintenance, which really comes in handy as the manager if you need to make any changes. And while we're here, I want to add more slices of cheese. So I will modify stock, select the cheese. And let's just add 50 new slices of cheese pizza. All right, good to go. All right, so now let me set this back over. All right, so we already went over doing the stock maintenance in back office yesterday. But if you don't have time to go back and restart everything, it's really handy to do it here in the manager mode. So let me go. You would just select whatever menu you're doing. But since all my menus are pretty much the same, let's just do the counter menu. And you would select the item that you want to make a change to. So if I go to beverages, maybe I know I'm running low on cans of Coke. So I could modify the stock, select it, and put the stock as now 10. Or if I realize, 20. But if I realized, I actually don't have as much as I thought I did, I can do modify stock again, select the can of Coke. Maybe it turns out I only have 5. And now it notifies me that I'm running low on cans of Coke because I have the warning in back office at 10. So if I have 10 cans of Coke or fewer, it's going to tell me that I'm running low. You can also disable stock. So I could disable can of Coke. So now it's not keeping track of the stock per can of Coke anymore. And then you could 86 an item as well. So maybe we just totally ran out of something, or we're not doing something right now. You can select 86 item, and you click the item, and now it tells you the item is now 86. If I go into counter mode now and try to do a can of Coke, it will tell me the item is not available. If I go back to my stock maintenance and undo the 86, now it is available again. So it's very handy that you can make those changes. Right? Any questions on changing the stock in SoftTouch?
No, it's pretty easy.
Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, now let's go over the basic closeout procedures. This will be a little repetitive, but just to give you the different types of closeouts you could do. So I'll go over 4 different kinds of closeouts. Technically, there are three different scenarios, but there's one that you can change up just a little bit. So these are the 4 basic closeout procedures. You have the minimal closeout procedures. It doesn't ask about the drop at the closeout. It bypasses the await approval step and goes to the await drop step, which will make more sense when we go into the manager mode and I show you. You can do closeout no manager intervention, which asks about the drop at employee closeout. It bypasses await approval and goes to the await drop step, so similar to that first one. We have closeout with manager intervention, which will ask about the drop and employee closeout, and it uses all 3 steps for the drop process. And then there is commit right at closeout, which will bypass everything and go straight to committing the drop. And then once you are in commit drop, you can't do an after closeout credit. So you just have to make sure if you have someone that's automatically going to commit, that they are good to go. And then that note's on the slide as well. So scenario number 1 with the minimum closeout procedures. Let's go and set that up right now. Right. So we are going to go under financial and banks, and then banks again. So when we went over this originally, we're now going to go over that bank closeout area that I said we would go over. And I will do an example for a till and a pocket. All right, so let me see. So for the different tills and pockets, you can choose different configurations for each. So maybe one of the servers has been here for a long time and they don't need manager help. So you do minimal closeout procedures, but someone else, you want them to do the entire 3-step process. These 3 buttons on the right will automatically check off for those particular scenarios. Otherwise, you can check whatever you would like. So we have configured to use minimal closeout procedures. We have configured to use cash management without manager intervention. And we have configured to use cash management with manager intervention. So I'm going to do till number 1, and I am going to configure to use minimal closeout procedures. I'll just click that, apply the settings. The only thing that's checked is auto tip deduction, payout employee tips at closeout that work the bank. I am going to do the same thing for Susie's server. Where is she? She's right here. Configured to use minimal closeout procedures, and OK. All right, so now let me just restart Stop Touch to apply these changes. So let's go back into Susie's server. Let me just go ahead and cache out all of my orders that I have here. All right, so before Susie's server can do a closeout at the end of the day, she has to make sure that all of her tips have been taken care of. Go to the employees section. My checks, open tips, and transfers, and any open tips will be here. Let's go ahead and apply that tip. I don't have any more open credit card tips, but I will need to declare my cash tips. So the server, well, the employees can either declare their cash tips under the open tips screen, or they can declare their cash tips when they go to do their closeout. I'll just declare now. Let's say there was $20 in cash tips. All right, so now Susie is ready to close out. Go to the employee mode, and she will go to my closeout and ask if I would like to close out the shift now. Yes. It confirms if you're adding any additional cash tips. No. Right. Now, right now, it is printing out the report, which in this case, it's printing out a blank sheet of paper to our printer here. All right, so now my closeout is complete. It wants to know if I would like to clock out. I could right now, but if there's something else I have to do, maybe clean up some tables or do something else, then I could say no and just clock out later. But I'll clock out now. All right. So that is all that Susie's server had to do as her part of closing out because she is using the minimal closeout procedures. But now I need to go in as the manager and do my job. So I'll go over to the manager mode, bank management, and bank drop. And this is where you see that 3-step process: awaiting approval, awaiting drop, and committed drop. It skipped the awaiting approval step, and it is here under awaiting drop. I will click commit, and I am just going to check that everything matches up. If there's something that doesn't match it up, I can select change. So let's say she thought she had $8.59, but she actually had $9. She was a penny over. I can put a reason if I'd like. So I'll ask her, and she says, oh, I found some money on the floor. She just found a penny. Once I've checked that everything is correct, I process. And now it is under committed drop. All right, so now let's do it with, so that was with the pocket. So now let's do this with Betty Bartender with her till. So let's get Betty Bartender in here. And let me just cash out one with a credit card. And let's do one with cash. Same thing. Well, you know what? Let's say that Betty doesn't realize that she has any credit card tips that are open. So she'll go to her employee mode and she'll go to close out. Now, the difference between having a pocket and having till is that Betty is presented with the option to close out her shift only or to also close out the till. So let's say Betty wants to close out the shift and the till. Now, it will list all of the things that she needs to do before she can close out. And if she clicks resolve, it will take her right to what she needs to do. All right, so let's apply a tip. And once you apply a tip to one check with an open tip, it will keep asking you. If you don't want to apply tips to the following ones, you can click cancel and come back to them. All right, there we are. So that's taken care of. That should be everything. Let's go to the closeout. Close out the shift until. All right, so it asks if she'd like to close out her shift now. Yes. Let's say she earned $20 in cash tips as well. Enter it in. It runs her report. All right, she's ready to clock out now. Yes. Now I do the same thing as the manager. Because Betty with her till has the exact same closeout option set up, except she has a till versus a pocket. Do the same thing, awaiting drop, commit. I realized that Betty was missing a penny, so it must be that Susie found her penny. So I want to change this to be $74.84. And the reason is that she was missing money. Process, and now it's under committed drop. Do you have any questions on this first scenario?
No.
All right, so let me go now and get this ready. All right, so now let's do number 2. So scenario number 2 is close out with manager intervention. So it will ask the employee about the drop, and it is going to use that entire 3-step process for the drop. So let's go back. Let's just do it for Susie's server. Configure to use cash management with manager intervention. Change it there. So now it has checked auto tip deduction, payout employee tips at closeout that work the bank, ask for the till total at closeout, and have a manager authorize the drop at closeout. I am going to do a system reset. And in case you didn't know, when you do a system reset, the password is POS reset. I am going to reset all. Since I've already closed their pockets and the till for the day, so I technically have to recreate the day. So I can show this to you. All right, so let's go into Susie server. Let's do one transaction with the card. And let's do one with cash just because. Oh. Right. Go to open tips and transfers. And let's go to the closeout. All right, so now it is showing Susie her total amount, and if she's over or under for any reason, she can choose it. But she checks and everything seems to be perfect. Process, it runs the report, and she'll be prompted if she wants to clock out. Yes. I go in as the manager. Go to the bank management, and you can see here that it is at awaiting approval because it is going to use that whole 3-step process. So I will look at this, and I will approve it. If anything was incorrect, I'll change it. Everything looks fine to me. Awaiting drop. Double check. Everything looks good. All right, I'm ready to commit. And now it is under committed drop. Do you have any questions on scenario number 2?
No.
All right, one last one. All right, so we have commit right at closeout, which is going to bypass everything and go right to the committed drop. Let me just make this change here. All right, so I want to do configure to use cash management without manager intervention. which is going to check auto tip deduction, pay out employee tips at closeout that work the bank, and ask for the till total at closeout. And I am also going to check auto commit because that is what is going to send it to automatically commit at the end. And this is going to be for till number 1. Just give it a moment to come up. And let's just do a quick one for Betty Bartender because I know this isn't the most fun part of the training. All right, so let's just do a quick visa. Do a quick tip on it. All right, so I will close out the shift until. I am closing out my shift. It asks about everything. Everything looks fine, and I'll process. Time to clock out. I go in as the manager into bank management. It's not in 1 or 2. It's already in committed drop. So she took care of everything by herself. Any questions on that?
So the credit card doesn't show it because it was a credit card, only the cash does.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because
Okay.
they would be dropping the cash into probably a safe or a drop box.
Right. Okay.
All right, great. And I think I skipped over just a little bit. So you have the minimum closeout procedures, and the only difference between that and the closeout no manager intervention would be that the employee is asked about the job. So just you can do it based on employee, based on skills, just however you want to set it up.
Okay.
Let me just reset my day again because I have everyone's chosen pockets closed. All right, so let's now do these operations. We're going to do different order functions. So we'll do delivery and focus on delivery setup. We'll do loyalty and loyalty setup. We'll do take on and pick up, and also how you would move something from delivery to dining or back and forth, and also delivery future orders and how you would set up a future order. Let's go into back office, and we are first going to set up delivery, and that would be under general, order functions, and delivery. You have a few different tabs here. The first one is settings. You have your delivery waiting time for unassigned drivers. You have your area code for, so for example, down here we're 954 for the different phone numbers that people are ordering from. Here you would do a minimum delivery amount that it must be when someone orders, and that would be before tax. So if I try in Softtouch to do a delivery order that's under $10, a pop-up will tell me that it hasn't met the minimum delivery amount. You have your driver list order, so either by first in or to order by user ID, just the way that it's going to appear for the drivers on the list on dispatch. You have your delivery bounds lookup, which can be by zip code or by latitude and longitude. You can choose to auto-assign deliveries to a particular driver. And you can choose the driver payments, which we just have earnings. So you can do print delivery tickets immediately on cash out. And you can disable the delivery payment warning. Okay. And so you have with a delivery order, if you press send on a delivery order, that's going to assume, if you send, if you press cash out on a delivery order, it can be different payment methods. So for example, you could do a credit card, or if it's a future order, you could do cash. But if you press send, then it is going to assume that they'll be paying with cash upon delivery. So then we have the option here when pressing cash in the cash out screen, mark it as collected or not collected, because you could mean the cash will be collected once we get there, or the cash is being collected now. So you have the zip codes and driving directions here. The zip codes would be just whatever zip codes you deliver for, or it could be zip codes that you don't deliver to. Right. And then I think I don't think you would worry about this. I think Taylor would be able to set this up for the driving directions if you had someone that was doing the delivery.
Okay.
So you have
So,
delivery.
so real
Yeah.
quick, on the delivery thing, is there any way that it would tell us, say, like about how long it would take?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, are you talking in terms of if it's an online order or just in general how long it usually takes?
Well, we'll say that you send it, you get an online order, or even someone calls in, whatever, and you punch it in. Is there any way to for the system to tell you that delivery would take approximately 10 minutes out and back, so that you'd know about when to put the next, especially if you were short drivers, you wouldn't want the food sitting there getting cold.
Yes, I don't think the system would tell you as the employee. We have on the online that you would have an average delivery time that you would put in here. But say you're busier than you usually are, or maybe you're not as busy as you usually are, in SoftTouch you could change that. And so that would affect what people see when they place an online order, an online order for delivery. But I don't think, let's see. I don't think it tells you, well, when you look up the driving directions, it uses Google Maps. So Google Maps would be able to give you an estimation for how long it would take you to get there and back. But SoftTouch itself doesn't have a pop-up for that. What's that? Here, let me see. Let's do this. No, that's not. Yeah, yes, this delivery time would be for if you were changing your delivery wait time, but I think that would affect the online ordering only.
Okay.
But I can double check. Let me see. I'll just write it down, the delivery time.
We have a customer who he's on Adello right now, and his biggest thing is trying to figure out, he wants something that will not only give him the directions for the driver, but help predict the amount of time. And he's very busy. He does a lot of delivery in San Francisco. I mean, he's probably got 8 delivery people at a time running, but he wants to kind of have an idea, something that will give him time idea for running out. Now, mind you, it's not going to be perfect, it never is, but
yeah, let me see if there's anything else I can find out about it. I just know for sure mine doesn't work because I have my Internet Explorer issues on here. But usually when you would hit the driving directions, it would go to the Google Maps and it could give you that estimation.
okay.
But I'll just see if there's anything else that's possibly there. Because with the driving directions, something else you can do is, say you have 3 orders, you can get the directions from one house to the next house, the next, and back, and it will help you figure out the best route.
Right, and I think that was the other thing, was trying to plan, what deliveries could go out together.
Got it. So let me write that down. Got it. Now, a way that you could do that is, say, you could sort by the address, or like you could do the city and zip code. Yes. So you could go by zip code. So you could say like, oh, these all appear to be in the same neighborhood, and you could send a driver. So that's something you could do. If I had multiple orders with different addresses, I could do sort by, and then just select all the ones and assign them to the appropriate driver. Do you have any more questions?
I'm not sure that would work per se for San Francisco because it's so congested. You could have a zip code that, seemingly you would think, oh, but when it's hard to get somewhere very quickly. You don't want to have someone say in the same zip code starting here and going all the way across when you could send someone all the way across first while someone was closer in. But we'll look into it.
We get a lot of packages like myself and here at the office because I also live in Coconut Creek, and it always puts Pompano Beach, almost always, because it assumes the zip code is Pompano Beach when it is not.
Right.
So I understand. But yeah, let me see if there's anything else. Maybe someone else knows something
Okay.
for sure. So I'll find that out for you.
All right.
All right. So let's do delivery charges. All right. So you can do different delivery charges, obviously. I just have mine that is 6%. Sorry, $6. But you can do it based off of the delivery percent. Sorry, let me start over. All right, so you can have different delivery charges. I just have a fixed amount. So I always say, like, you could charge by the mile. So if someone's a mile away, you charge them $1. If they're 2 miles away, you charge them $2. But I just have my fixed one. You check on whether or not you want it to be enabled. You name it. You can do a schedule. So maybe, I don't know, maybe you want to do a special schedule for at night. Maybe from 10 to 12 at night, you have a more expensive delivery charge than you usually do. And you would put the delivery amounts on here. And then you choose your driver payment method, whether or not you want to enable it. And you say whether you're paying them a percentage of the delivery charge, a percentage of the sales, or if it's a fixed amount. So in this case, my drivers receive that 6% delivery charge as payment. And then here we have the delivery bound. So this would be your zone. So this is what I was referring to, where you can say, we do service this place or we don't service this place. So you could have a delivery zone of ones that are in, and then you can also do ones that are out. And here's where you could assign the different delivery charges. So maybe if you're in this area, that is a zip code that we service, and we charge them the $6. But then someone else, we charge them a different one. Or you can do the latitude and longitude if you want to be more specific. That would be something that you guys as the dealers would do, because it might just be very involved. But it's, yeah, so we actually had someone recently, they wanted to just have a whole radius of people that they deliver to, because some parts of one zip code they delivered to, but some other parts of that zip code they didn't. So you could do either or.
Okay.
Now, let's also go to the future orders, because that is relevant to online ordering as well. So we'll go to the system again, and we have future orders. And this is just where you select how soon you want a future order to fire. So I have it set for a future order to fire 60 minutes before it's due. So let's say someone calls me on Monday and says that they want to order 5 pizzas for Friday at 3. Since I have it set at 60 minutes, that means that that order is going to be fired to the kitchen at 2 o'clock. If you want to disable the auto firing and you want to just manually fire that order yourself, you can put 0, but you just have to remember. So if it's an online order for future orders, the same rules will apply. It's the same thing as if you put it in yourself.
Okay.
Now let's go in the soft touch. So let's just do the examples of the different payments for online ordering. Let's go back to Joe Customer. Now I have set it up so that it shows me his previous 5 or 6 orders, so he can repeat a previous order he's had, or he can create a new one. So let's just repeat that order. So again, if we do send, SoftTouch is going to assume that we will be receiving cash upon delivery, or we can do payments. Let's go ahead and do send with his other order. So you can see here it says cash fully paid, although he technically has not paid yet because we have not received the payment. But then if I go back in and have a new order from him, I can do a payment, and let's say he pays the Visa over the phone. He could also pre-tip if you'd like to, by selecting pre-tip. So maybe he wants to pre-tip $2, and it would appear here on the check pre-tip line. Or he could pay with his card. He could write a tip on the receipt, and then the driver, when they return, either they or whoever would be handling it would be able to add the tip in. So you can see here, it says fully paid Visa. All right, and then those are all new orders that are waiting to be delivered. All right, So let's say my driver wanted all three of these. I would select all three. I could click the driving directions and it would tell me, well, this is all the same place, but you would think they would be different addresses, and then it would tell me the best way to go, the directions for everything. And then I would just click the driver, assign it, and now it's out. And you can see that for the driver, in this case, it's just manager. It says manager is out. They have been out for 0 minutes so far, and the number in brackets is the number of orders they've taken, so 3. And all those orders are listed under out. And it tells you exactly when the driver left, so 3:59. So if someone calls and says they're expecting their order, you can say, oh, well, they left at 3:59. They should be there within the next 10 to 15 minutes.
So that where it says manager out 0 minutes, that's how long they've been gone or how long you expect them to be gone?
How long they have been gone. So it has not yet been a minute since this driver left.
Okay. And where does it show what time he left?
It would be right here. For each of the orders, it says out at 3:59.
Okay, I see it.
It shows who placed the order. So it was the manager that put it in, and it shows the driver as manager. So if one person put it in and someone else picked it up, as a driver, it would put the different employees there.
Okay.
So it's really useful to be able to see when the orders went out, and then you can keep track of that as well.
Got it.
Did you have any questions on the delivery?
Not at the moment.
All right, well, let me know if you come up with anything. Let's just leave the manager alone and let her do her thing.
Okay.
Right. Now let's go over loyalty, and that will be in back office, of course, to set it up. That'll be under general and loyalty, so there's a nice heart next to it. All right, so we have these settings. We have 3 checkboxes. Allow daily duplicate loyalty transactions. So if you check this, it means that even if they've already been in there today, they can receive loyalty points or loyalty visits for multiple purchases. I know if I go to Panera Bread, they will only count the loyalty 1 time per day. You have the disable loyalty print chit. So if you don't want that chit to print out, it doesn't have to. And then you can enable visit scans without an order. So if someone just comes in and they want that visit credit, but they're not actually ordering, you can still do that for them. You would do the loyalty storage. So if it's a local or multi-store, and then persons as well, which I don't think is relevant anymore. And then you can do loyalty visits or loyalty points, or you can do both. So first here, visits. So my thing is you must have 5 visits and spend at least $5 per visit, and then you receive a free coffee. So you have your reward, you have the number of visits required to redeem the reward, and the minimum qualifying amount for each visit. So I'm saying this person needs to spend at least $25 or they're not getting their free coffee.
Right.
And then you have the points set up. I have it, every point is $1. So if you're up to 100 points, you earn a free soda, 200 points a free appetizer, and 300 points a free entree. So you could do visits, points, or visits and points.
Okay.
Now, to have the loyalty information print out on a receipt, you would go over to that template screen under administration. And let me find a receipt here. The tag for this would be loyalty. And I think I have it at the bottom. Yes. So I have it right here at the bottom. So in my case, I have it appearing right before the footer of the receipt. So it will display whatever rewards the customer has earned. Then the customer can come in and show you, oh, I've earned this reward, so you know that they have it. Now we also can do sort of VIP customers, which would be under general and then customer. Let's see Mickey Mouse. And we have VIP. And you can choose an automatic discount for this customer every time they come in. And this will pull from those adjustments that you created under financial. So every time Mickey Mouse comes in, he automatically receives a 10% discount off his check. Now he's also a loyalty customer. So if I go to loyalty, I can see all of his information. The last time he was here, his last purchase amount, how many times he's been here, how many points. He has spent almost $2,000 at my restaurant. He's earned this many points. If you want to disable someone's loyalty, you can, and you can clear everything. You can clear all their loyalty or just their visits or just their points. So maybe they make the owner angry and he says, you know what, no more loyalty points for you. All right, now if you look at Mickey Mouse, he
Must be related to Anthony. I'm sorry, go ahead.
All right, so Mickey Mouse has more points than he knows what to do with. So maybe he comes in and he says that he has earned a free beverage and he wants that free beverage. So you can do that. But first you have to set it up in back office. So if you go back really quickly to the loyalty, you can see here for 100 points, you get a free soda. But we now have to attach that adjustment to the items that we wanted to be a part of. So I already have the adjustment in here for the 10% discount. Or sorry, what was it? Oh, here it is. I was thinking the 10% on his VIP. So I already have the adjustment here for the loyalty free beverage. And now I have to tell it what items I want it to go with. So I go to the item builder, item, and I just want it to be on my fountain soda. So if I go to the fountain soda and I go to my adjustments, you can see right here, I actually have two adjustments that I have applicable for this. I have a 50% discount and I have a loyalty free beverage. Now, according to the conditions for this loyalty free beverage adjustment, they must have 100 points to redeem it. If you go to the adjustments, let's go back. You can see right here, the point requirement is 100. So if he does not have 100 loyalty points, it will not even appear as an option. Let's go back to soft touch. Let's go over to the counter. All right, so I have a customer come in. They tell me they want some slices of pizza and some drinks. And he says, oh, I'm a loyalty member and I have earned a free beverage. And I say, all right, well, what is your loyalty information? I can select the seat number and assign loyalty, swipe this card, and now it pulls up Mickey Mouse. Now there's this 10% discount automatically, but he still really wants this free drink. So I click this fountain soda to be free, item adjust. And you can see here it shows a 50% discount and the loyalty free beverage. I click the loyalty free beverage, it takes away the $1.99. And now he is redeeming those points. Let's go ahead and cash him out. And now we're done. All right, and now if we go.
Now, Lindsay, if he hadn't had enough points, it would have said they didn't have enough points for the free beverage, right?
Yeah, so here, let me take you to, let's go in as Joe Customer. Actually, I don't know if Joe Customer has, let me find someone else that also has loyalty points. Let me see. Let's do this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do not think he qualifies. Let's see. I only have 2 loyalty customers, and it looks like they both have enough points. Oh, but you know what I can do? Hold on just 1 second. Because I want to be able to show you what. All right, so I have a guest with no name. All they have is a loyalty number. So if I select the soda, there you go. So this person does not have any loyalty points. So when I select the soda and I try to select the loyalty-free beverage, it tells me that they cannot redeem the points because they have insufficient points.
Okay. Poor guy.
I imagine he's just gotten his loyalty card and he says, oh, I'm a loyalty customer. Here you go. Well, you don't have any points, sir. All right, so yes. And yes, so and then Mickey Mouse would have known about those points that he had earned the fountain beverage because it would have printed out on his last receipt. You can also look up what they have on their loyalty. So I like to go into the manager mode to do it, and I go to the customers and loyalty. And you can search by number, you can search by name. So let's just do Mickey Mouse. So I would select the customer, select edit and view customer, and go to loyalty. And it tells me his favorite items. It tells me his last purchase amount and the last time he came in. It also tells me when he was first created. So you have all of those. You have his favorites, but you can also check his loyalty balance. So it shows you how many visits he has, how many points. He's going to have a free coffee on his next visit. And it tells him the different points for the different levels. So he qualifies for all of those. He can do 100, he can do 200, he can do 300. And I can look at this only and tell him, or I can also print it out and give it to him. And then let's say you had some sort of promotion where you come in and you get free points. You could do that. So you have sort of endless possibilities with the loyalty there. Okay. And then, of course, if someone doesn't have their card, this is what you would do. They pull up their information. Company, first name, last name, or their phone number. Do you have any questions on the loyalty?
Nope, pretty easy.
All right. So now let's go back to delivery, and we'll just go over if you have someone to order, but they're not a customer, like in your system. Right, so we have delivery. This person gives you their phone number. You put it in. SoftTouch does not find anything with that phone number, so it will ask you for the last name. You put in the last name. It doesn't find anyone with that last name, so it asks you if you would like to add this customer. You can say yes. Put in the first name. Oh, and I have the subscription service, the address autofill. I have that enabled on here, so that's why things will pop up. So you put in the first name, it confirms the last name. Just put in the zip code, and then it will automatically know the city and state. They can have multiple addresses. Let's say this is just a home address. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so it's popping up all these suggested things that are in my general area. But of course, I'm using a fake address. All right, so this is all done. I can make any changes to them that I want to. I can, it automatically fills in that phone number that I tried. And then I can just start the order. So that's what you do if you have someone that calls in that isn't a pre-existing customer and you want to add them in as a customer right then and there. Let me just
Okay, so there must be something that you have clicked that when you put in their phone number, it looks it up, because I know, like, when I order pizza, every time I give them my phone number, they still ask me my name.
Yes. So for example, if I put in Joe customer's order, so I'll either have, they'll either tell me their number. Well, I'll see it on the caller ID, but if we are using who's calling, it would come up on the screen because it integrates. So I look up the phone number, and if it finds it, it will show me every customer that has that phone number. So if there are multiple people in the house, like at the home number, it will show you all those customers, and then you can confirm who it is. So by default, it will look for a phone number, but you can always close it and then look search by phone.
Okay.
So let's do one more order for Joe customer.
And then before I said it first. No, I said it. I said it once. Joe once.
Right. So Joe customer has a brand new order that is under new, and we haven't done anything yet. It isn't ready to go. And he says, oh, he calls in and says, you know what? I'm sorry. I wanted to add another Stromboli on there. Could I do that? We say, sure. You can select the order and edit the order. He just wants to add another Stromboli, add it on, and send it through. And it tells you, because I am hitting send, which is for that cash on delivery. So it tells me the cash tender is going to automatically be adjusted to match the new balance. And I say, yes, that's fine. Go back, and it has changed that amount. You can also edit payments. He calls and says, hey, I messed up again. I'm not going to be paying with cash. Can I just pay you with a credit card over the phone? and we say okay. We select it. We can edit payments. We will select the cash, and you can see here it marks that it's not collected. So this is the one place that you'll see that it says not collected yet. I void the tender like we did for that check earlier. Confirm. And then do the Visa. All right, so now we have the new tender. We go to dispatch. It shows Visa fully paid. We're good to go. And then Joe customer calls again, and he says, you know what? I'm just going to come over there and pick it up. Don't have anyone deliver it. And we say, all right, we can do that. Right now it is $29.28 because there is that $6 delivery charge. But if we select the order, we can move to pick up. And if we go to pick up, it is now $23.28 because it takes out that $6 delivery charge. Now, Joe customer calls one more time and says, you know what? Deliver it. I'm not coming back. I'm too lazy. All right. Select the order one more time. Move to delivery. Yes. You go back to dispatch, and now it's back at that $29.28. So take into account all those changes. Great. Any questions on anything so far?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Now let's do some takeout examples. Let's go over to takeout then. Right. And similar to QuickBar, you also have a fast takeout, so that you can just, for example, you do this takeout and it doesn't ask you for phone number or anything. You just put in the order, put in the person's name, and then it sends it in there to pick up. All right, so the takeout is, let's see, the takeout lookup is pretty similar to when you have the delivery mode when you go there, except I don't have mine set to ask for a phone number. You can search by anything you like if you are going to be using someone's information, like their name, but if you're not going to be asking for their name, or if they're not a customer already, you can just do the fast takeout to get it over and done with. Someone calls, places an order, asks for his name, it's John, you're done. Don't need any other information. Okay, but let's say we do have a customer call up and we're very familiar with him. Put in his number. All right, that's him. I'm going to select him here. Interesting. Why does he have an order? All right, select the customer, put his order in. And this is another thing where you can do the send, where they'll pay when they pick up, or you can do cash out now. So I'll just use Panera as another example. I know if you do the rapid pickup, you pay, and then you just go there and pick it up. But maybe it's a place like I don't know, a Chinese place where you order, and then you pay when you pick it up. So let's just send it through. And now you can see here on the pickup, we have John Doe, but since he's in our system, we also have his phone number in there. All right, now let's say let's say John Doe wants to move his order to delivery. That's very easy to do because we have his address and everything already. If John, that's not John Doe, I just did a wonderful job choosing this name. If John, that is not John Doe, wants to move to delivery, then it's going to ask for additional information. So we'll select John Doe, move to delivery, and what was $11.64 is now $17.64 because it's adding that delivery charge on. Now let's say John says, you know, I was going to do takeout, but I actually think I'm going to dine in at your restaurant. So we can just select his order, and we can move to dining. Confirm. And then it tells you it has been moved to a floating dining order because, of course, he's not seated at the table right now. So this is where you can do the floating seating. Floating seating. Select John's order and place him at a table. There you go. Right. Pretty straightforward?
Pretty straightforward, yes.
Right. All right, so now, yes, I've already gone over this. I don't know why I have this now. All right, so I have one question for you. What is the difference when you're doing a delivery order between send and cash out?
One assumes that they've already paid for it, and the other is still waiting for payment.
Yes, exactly. Awesome. Yeah. So the send is going to be that cash on delivery, and then the cash out would be everything else. All right.
Correct.
All right. So guess what? That's the end of day 4. So we can start on day 5,
Okay.
which is awesome news. So I think we can probably do after this. We would just need one more day. That might take just maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And that final day would be a sort of 20 questions quiz we have. Yeah, so let's start on the day 5 then, because we're doing awesome. That's good.
Okay.
All right, so let me just take you over here. All right, so let's now go over to reports, because I'll just do just a brief section on reports. All right, so you remember yesterday we did the different employee tip distribution methods with the check detail. So check detail is definitely a popular report. And we had the 2 employees where we did the split tips and the split sales allocation, but you can do whatever way you'd want to do it. Split, single, what have you. Do you want to try, do you want to run through it again? Without you have
No, that was pretty understandable because I've been in that industry before, so.
Got it. All right, so yes, we do have many different reports, and of course it's under miscellaneous and reports. And these same reports, if you do have someone subscribed, if there is a restaurant subscribed to mobile reporting, these are the ones that they can get from any device they're on. So phone, tablet, or computer. And they don't have to be at the restaurant. They can be on the other side of the world. And it's really cool because it uses the cloud to just grab the information from their restaurant in real time. And if you do the dashboard has a graphical interface for all of their reports, which is really neat. But we do have all of these different reports, a lot of very useful reports. So we have accounts, adjustments, stock.
I'm one of those managers that I would sit when I had free time and play with the reports, looking at them and figuring out what was pertinent to me and what wasn't, and where to go to quick.
Yeah, I think that's why people like the mobile dashboard a lot, because they like to just be able to look at it. They like to oh, this is a nice graph. This graph says that I am doing very well today. All right, so yes, so you have all the different report groups, which you would expand by pressing the button on the left. Let's see, there are pretty much all of them. You would check by a start and end date. For check, obviously check detail report, you would search by check number. We have the report configuration. This is where you would create day parts, and there are only 2 reports that break down by day parts. So those are under the report group sales. You have the department sales report and the family sales report. So I have early breakfast, brunch, and lunch. You could add whatever day parts you'd like. And the reason these exist is so you could say, for example, so for families and departments, you can see day parts, yes or no. So you can see, oh, I am selling a lot of appetizers during brunch time versus the amount of appetizers I'm selling during lunchtime. And maybe you decide that you're not going to be selling appetizers during brunch anymore, or maybe you want to do a special promotion for appetizers during brunch. So it's good for helping you keep track of those sales for the different day parts. So the family sales report and the department sales report use the day parts. And then you have the report editor that lets you change your reports around a bit. All the reports that can be modified are on this dropdown. If you are going to be making any changes to the reports, you just need to make sure you make a backup just in case anything happens. You never know. And that's pretty much the basic rundown of the reports. You look at the reports, you understand the reports. The other popular thing with the mobile reporting is people love to have the reports emailed to them every day without them having to go in and get them themselves. So if you want to receive that daily sales report at close every day, you are going to receive that daily sales report at close every day in your email. You don't have to worry about it. Do you want to go over reporting at all besides this?
No, I think that's, like I said, I'm one of those managers that I have sat and played with the reports, looking at different things and what exactly I got out of them.
Okay.
Plus, I've kind of played around looking in the back office a little bit, a lot.
Well, that's good. All right, great. All right, so let's go over now the importing and exporting. Where am I going? All right, so this is at the very bottom under miscellaneous. The first tab we have is import, so we will do that one first. All right, so also now, as I mentioned before, you do have the ability to import gift cards. I just don't have it on mine because mine is a slightly older release than what's out right now. But this is where you would import customers. You would have to match this format up here exactly. So first name, comma, last name, comma, address, etc. And you would open the file to import. It would show you a preview of everything you're importing, and you would click to import the customers into SoftTouch. But let's say you accidentally imported customers for one restaurant into another restaurant's back office. You could just select from this drop-down a date, and then click delete customers imported on, and it will delete every customer that you imported for that date. So very handy, so you don't have to manually go in and think, oh, I'm so stupid, I can't believe I added 200 customers for the wrong restaurant. So that's something that's very neat, good for saving time. And then we have the export and data services, which is one of those tabs that has other tabs hidden within it. All right, so first you have the list, and they're all here. Right, so we have 3 tabs at the bottom. These buttons are very self-explanatory. You have export wizard, viewing your export data results, and that's something you can just explore. You have the edit tab. So you have the description for the report right here. You have the export format, so whatever you would like to use. You have the program you wanted to export to, so you would just select program and choose which program it exports to, obviously. And of course, you put where you wanted to export it on the computer, so it knows where to save it. If you check append date to file name on export, it's just going to add the date onto the file name. So, for example, rather than employee.xls, it will be employee 12/21/2018.xls. And then you have the export documentation box, which is going to create an HTML file with a description of each of the columns in the exported data. And then you have the results tab, which is just going to show you your results. We have the export builder. Now, this is something that's made for advanced users, people that have a lot of knowledge on SQL databases. So this is, I think, like the only thing that we don't provide support for. So unless you're very knowledgeable, just be careful with it. And then we have manual export, which is a 3-step process. It's very simple. You select the table or the data that you want to export from the list. So let me do, if I just have the customer list, right? I select open table. Right, so now it shows me a preview of everything. Oh, and I'm on there as well. That's me. All right, and then you can filter the data if you need to. So you can put conditions, you can put the fields, you can just do any sort of filter that you want to. And then when you're ready, you use the export wizard and just follow all of that steps to export the data. And then you'll be all set. Do you have any questions?
That makes it pretty easy, actually.
Yes, for sure. Wizards are great.
Yep.
All right, awesome. All right, so now let's get into that Z that I was talking about. That will be under General and System. We have the Z tab and the Z Results tab. So first we have Z. All right, so the Z is going to be what is run at the end of the business day, every day, whenever the restaurant closes. And it basically, it closes out all the batches and it just starts everything over again. And you'll know if your Z did not run the night before, because up here, the operation date will be in red. So if it said 12/20/18 and was in red, that would mean it didn't Z out. All right, so first we have the Z settings. I'll just go over all the different settings here. So we have reset check number on Z. So if you have your checks that start at 100 every day, you need to check this box if you want them to restart every day. Otherwise, if you end with 129, the next day you'll start with 130. We have clear drawers that were assigned on Z. So if you check this during the Z operation, it's going to unassign the drawers from every employee that has an assignable drawer. And those are only those drawers that are self-assignable. If you have a permanent drawer that's assigned to you, it won't be unassigned. So if a bartender's clocked in, she's going to be taken off her till. But if my manager is in, she's not going to be taken off her till because that till is always on her. We have the shutdown or power off client machines on Z. If you check this option, then the client machines will be shut down every time you Z, but the server computer will not be shut down. We recommend that if you have someone using NetiPay, that you shouldn't use this just in case it all shuts down before it has a chance to send out the batch. So just to be safe, you shouldn't use it if you're using NetiPay. You have print Z status report. So if you check this, then the status report is going to print after the procedure. It's going to give you all the information informing you if your back is completed successfully, if the credit card's batch, just everything that it did. And then there is the Z report, which same thing, it will print the Z report. At the top here, we have 24-hour operation. So if you have a restaurant or just an establishment that never shuts down and runs 24 hours a day, you would want to check this on. So then the checks are not going to reset, it won't clear your drawers, and it's not going to automatically clock out any of your employees when it's time to Z. But if you're going to do the 24-hour operation, then you should not do the enable auto Z down here. Right. So then we have keep employees clogged in as Z. So when the Z is run, you can either have it so it does automatically clock out all your employees, or you can have it so all your employees stay clocked in. And then we have disable the paid out tips printout as Z. Straightforward if you don't want that to print out. You have the report width. So if you want it to be the 40 column on the receipt paper or the 80 column on just the regular paper. All right, so then we have the stop Z future from and to. So this is supposed to help you prevent an accidental Z from being performed. So you cannot run a Z between those two times. So I don't know, between 5 and 8. So you can't have anyone accidentally Z from 5 to 8. Right. And then here is the check number that you will start out after the Z every day. So I have mine to start out at 100. And now we have the enable auto Z. And there's a warning here that you can just click. And it's always there as a good reminder, precautions, be careful, don't mess things up. Okay. So yeah, so again, you don't want to use the enable auto Z if you're using the 24-hour operation. Because it's really handy so that you can just tell it when you want it to Z out and you don't have to worry about doing it yourself. So here I have filled out Monday through Sunday, but you can do whatever days you'd like. If you wanted to auto Z Monday through Friday and manually do it on your own Saturday and Sunday, all you have to do is leave Saturday and Sunday blank. Right. And then just make sure you put it in the same format, hours, minutes, seconds, and then AM or PM. And then there is the Z report batch. And all you need to do here is you can click add. And from the dropdown, choose the report that you would like to be printed with the Z. So when your Z report prints out, it will also print out these reports for you, which is really handy. And then you can choose what size paper you want it to be on. Do you have any questions on the Z?
Explain to me again why you have to be careful with enabling the auto Z. I would think that would be the best thing.
It would just be
operation. You have it set up for when you're off, you're closed.
Yes, yeah. So enable auto Z is great. So you can see mine is at 4 a.m. because my restaurant isn't open at 4 a.m. But you want to be careful if you have the 24-hour operation because someone might be in the middle of a transaction or something like that
right.
and try to run. But there are
Okay.
just warnings here to let you know of anything that could potentially happen.
Okay.
So it says, for example, warning on batching. Some merchants require that a batch be closed within a set number of hours before charging higher rates or additional fees.
Right. Oh, yes. I've seen that on the reports.
Yeah. So just it's pretty much saying you guys need to make sure you know what you're doing, and we're not in trouble if you mess up.
Right. Okay. I understand now.
And then it's always good to make sure the restaurant owner or whoever is doing all that stuff to make sure they know what to do if for some reason something goes wrong with the AutoZ, so they know how to manually do it.
Right.
So yeah, so a good indicator always is this operation date. If it's not a nice, happy, soft touch orange, if it's a mean red, then they know that something didn't go right.
Okay.
And then they do have their Z results. So that Z results report that is printed out, all that information will be here as well. So you'll
Correct.
be able to use the information from the previous Z.
Correct.
All right, so let's go to the credit card log. All right, so unresolved transactions. So this is what I've been talking about if in the example of maybe you're processing a payment and you lose internet connection or you lose electricity. So POS has sent a signal but hasn't received a signal back. So that would appear here under unresolved transactions. It would also appear under the manager mode, all checks overview, and under offline checks. So
Right.
there are different things you can do. The manager can manually run the checks when the internet is back on, or you can leave them alone and they'll process automatically when you Z out.
Okay.
If there are any unreconciled transactions, you won't be able to perform the Z. And for the unresolved transactions, you can either reconcile them or you can delete them. So I don't know, maybe you were processing someone's card, the internet went out, and they said, you know what, I'm just going to pay with cash. So then you could just delete that transaction so it doesn't go through.
Right.
For the check credit card transactions, this would show the credit card transactions from a particular date. And it would just be from here. And then you would click open transactions. If it's a transaction from today's date, you could click show full credit card number and it would show you the entire credit card number. Otherwise, if it's from yesterday or any time before that, it would just show you the last one.
Okay.
And then you have your daily exception log, which would just show you any credit card errors that you've had. So if there was just anything that went wrong with the credit card, maybe the bank rejected the transaction or something like that. All right, so then we only have a few more things to go over. And then, yeah, I think next time when we get back from the holidays, we can just schedule a day to go over that 20 questions quiz, and then you'll be done.
All right.
All right, so let's just go over the.
All right.
I just have sort of an assortment of things to go over now, just a few little things. So we went over that journal that's in the manager mode. In the back office, that's under financial, and the sales and journal view. So, and this is something else that you can export. So you can do Excel, HTML, XML, or text. So the sales, it's pretty straightforward. It shows you the check number, dates, what kind of check it was. Is it delivery, counter, dining? It gives you all those details there. If you go to the journal, it has 2 entries for each transaction. So right, so here you can see the cash was $480 and the check was for $480. So I had a check, it was $480, it was paid for with cash for $480, and it went to till number 1, and it shows you the employee. So if you want to view more in-depth details for the sales, you would go over to the journal view. It'll always show you that sales amount and which bank the money was deposited to. If we go under miscellaneous, here's chalkboard and specials, where you would change those chalkboard and specials that appear on the info screen. The info screen, chalkboard and special. That's where you would just change that for the day or week or whatever you'd like to do. We've already gone over the template screen, and there is that list of print tags that's on the Learning Center, so learning.softtouchpos.com. I showed you the system reset in SoftTouch. You can also do a system reset in back office under administration. system reset. The only difference is they can also reset the grand total, and that's not something you can do directly from SoftTouch. But they need to be very careful if they're doing that. They better have a good reason. They need to be very careful that they're not going around and clicking dangerous things. And then we have SoftTouch messages. So on the info screen, let's see, on alerts, warnings and reminders, I have a message here in the back office, and I access that under general and SoftTouch messages, so the very bottom of the general section. And any messages from SoftTouch will appear in here. Mine aren't appearing because they're old. And this one is just telling me that my SoftTouch account doesn't exist because it thinks it's a real restaurant, but it's not. So I'm just receiving a warning there. All right, and I have one slide to show you. These are just things that you need to remember when you're doing a new install, but I'm sure you guys are doing these all the time, so I don't need to tell you, but it's part of the training, so I'll tell you anyway. All right, you probably don't want to do installs on a Friday because if something goes wrong, we're not going to be here and you need to do the emergency technical support. You should try to stage installs in the office first and test everything out to make sure it's working. There's not a reason to delete any default stations or printers unless you feel that there's a need for it. Same thing with the print codes. Don't delete the print codes. Before you make any changes to what you're doing, you should definitely make a backup just in case something goes wrong. Make sure you have a local backup if the restaurant doesn't use the redundancy. So if they don't have a redundancy plugged into their server, you could just maybe once a month or once a week make a backup, because I know sometimes people have something happens to their database and they don't have a backup. Their backup is from like a year or two ago. It's not a good time for anyone. Right, and then dial backups for credit card processing. All right, and then that is everything for today. Do you have any questions for me?
No, not at the moment.
All right, great. All right, well, if you do have any questions, feel free to let me know. I won't be here next week.
Oh, I do have a question, but not about the training.
Oh, sure.
I have an Anthony note here. When we were there for the Sage Con, he had asked about those universal, I'm going to call it a key, the dongle, I guess it is. You had them on sale at one point, and he had asked if you were going to be putting them back on sale, and they had said yes. And
is it the backup dongle?
Yes.
The back for something goes wrong? Yes. All right. Yeah, we do have, we haven't sent it out. We didn't send out the notice, but we are selling them at a discounted rate. I don't have the rate in front of me, so let me, once I go over to my desk, I can email you what the price is for the backup dongle, and you can get up to 2 of them.
Perfect. Perfect.
Those are always useful because you can use those temporarily while you're getting a replacement dongle if something goes wrong.
Great.
All right, awesome. Yeah, so as soon as I get back there, I can get you that information.
That would be great.
Yeah. So if you do come up with any questions, then you can email me, and then I will be back in on, I think, the 2nd. Yes, Wednesday the 2nd, I will be back, and I will be able to get to any emails you send me, and then I will call you or email you so that we can set up the day to go over our little quiz.
Perfect.
All right, sounds great. Well, you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too.
All right, thank you very much. All right, you take care.
Have a great day.
Right, you too, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, now I know. Hey, somebody get that garbage out of the kitchen, please. It's